best success hunting wise, the best success with daytime pictures on trail cameras have been tight to bedding, and I love to find scrapes near bedding too. I've found that throughout the daytime, sometimes we think that a bedding area is all about a buck just resting up and waiting to feed. Well, it's so far from that. Most of the bedding areas I know are full of food, especially browse, and I don't find that bucks are coming out of there most likely with an empty stomach and run into those acorns. I think they get out of that bedding area and they start wanting to socialize, especially if they're all alone. And that's why it seems like if you can set your cameras up on some scrapes near those bedding areas, those bucks tend to hit those scrapes before they head to that primary food source.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because I'll get your thoughts on this. The October lull, right? All the data shows that the deer will move more and more and more as the month of October progresses.
Sure.
But would you say that a lot of that movement, even though it's increasing, is still just around their bedding? Like maybe they're getting up out of their bed and moving more and then going back, but they're still not quite kind of moving as far? Or like what's been your experience as far as that goes, like with that mid-October kind of phase where guys aren't necessarily seeing as many bucks during the day?
I mean, if we're not getting the right temperatures or the right weather, I don't see bucks moving far from those bedding areas during daytime hours. I do think, gradually as October progresses, you'll probably see bucks leave those bedding areas a little bit sooner. They're getting a little bit more antsy, more concerned about other competitor bucks in the area. They're starting to wonder when that first doe is going to come into heat. So, you'll have some bucks, instead of them leaving the bedding area literally maybe even after dark, they'll start, by mid-October, they'll start coming out a little bit sooner, maybe sometimes an hour or two before dark, or going in a little later, during daytime hours. But I will also say, once again, if we get a good cold front, or the right temperatures, even in early October, that pattern will change. You will find bucks breaking out of that pattern, and it completely changes the game plan, for me and I'm sure other hunters as well. So it's so weather based that time of year too, and really all times of year. But it's just amazing how I feel like a lot of these bucks, they want to get out and start working rub lines and working scrapes, but their bodies are telling them that you need to keep putting on those fat reserves. You need to basically put the feed bag on more than anything else until your body's ready to really start covering ground. So
Yeah.
I would once again have to agree that it's most likely a gradual step-by-step process as that movement starts to progress.
Mm-hmm. Are you seeing those cameras on scrapes and those setups like throughout the year from January to December? Like, are those kind of your best places for pictures or daytime pictures pretty much throughout the year? Like certain scrapes that are just active all year, are you seeing those as like your best spots to have a camera or potentially a setup in the
I
big
would say
woods?
those are the best spots to potentially kill a mature deer,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the best setup as well is like it's a safe setup because you're close to bedding, but you're not in bedding. And if you have the wind right, it can be a deadly setup. All you need them to do there is show up at the right place, the right
Right.
time. So but what I do find is I don't always get a lot of other deer on those cameras. And that's where maybe some people can be a little bit concerned, like, I didn't get many pictures, but then you got to look back and think, yeah, but how many mature deer did you get in daytime hours?
Mm-hmm.
It's a spot where you're going to sit there and you're probably not going to see anything most of the time. But when you do see a deer, it's going to be a good one,
Yeah.
So plays a little bit of a mind game. And especially when I've guided people and put clients in those types of setups, it's hard. I don't care who it is. Most hunters, they just want to see deer. If they're not seeing deer, they're impatient. They're
Mm-hmm.
not having as much fun. But like that's the difference between a lot of like your more serious mature buck hunters versus just deer hunters. Like a real true mature buck hunter, the only thing he cares to see all season is that one time, that one opportunity at a good buck. That's all he's hoping for. And I think that's the mindset you have to have.